Hello everyone, this is Hargreaves, and today I'm going to do a brief tutorial on the transform tool, which is a tool that a lot of us use when we're doing concept art or just digital illustration in general. It's great to use for laying in textures in perspective, graphics, any motifs on interior spaces, and a plethora of other things, other usages. So here I have the interior of a room. I just laid in using a guide pulled in from the rulers. I've just laid in my horizon and a vertical guide just to locate my vanishing point. Then using the line tool, I pulled out these corners and made my box, which will be an interior. So let's begin. To go to the transform tool, we go up to edit, but I want to show you what we're going to transform. Here I have a plan of a room. Looking straight. The plan means you're looking straight down at it. Here's the entry doors open here, the outer walls, and here we have the footprint basically of pillars. These squares are pillars, and plotting pillars on a room is not always very fun, but it can be done. It just takes time and patience. So one way of doing it, using Photoshop and the transform tool, is to transform this onto the floor, and I'll show you how. So we go up here, upper left, to edit, transform, across and down to distort. Distort is my go-to choice for the transform tool because I can pretty much cover perspective, skew, and scale with it. We'll go over these others in a minute, but scale is very accurate, as is skew and perspective. But distort, if you have a guide, you can just bang it in there. We have a guide of the floor here, and we're just going to drop it in there manually, which I'll show you. Rotate. You don't want to use distort for rotate because it'll take forever and it will not be accurate. And you don't want to use distort for warp because warp is like distort on steroids. So I'll show you that a little later as well. So here we are, edit, transform, distort, and once we clicked on that, you'll see these handles here. On the corners and in the middle, and this is what we'll use to transform our plan. But first, what I want to do actually before we transform this is I'm going to duplicate this. Go back to that, back to transform here. Okay, so we have our door here, which I want to have in the foreground, and this little altar type of thing that can be in the background or whatever it's going to be. The main thing this is great for here in this example is to locate where the pillars are going to be. So here we go. We'll just grab the central handle here, pull it down. You can put it anywhere on this line here. I just put it in the middle. And get the corners in here. Just grab these corner handles here. Front right handle. Front left handle. I have it set to snap, so it's just dropping in there quite nicely. The snap is under view. So here we dropped it in here in perspective, and these are spaced quite nicely. So this is up here. You've got no and yes. So we like it. We hit yes, the tick. Then we have our duplicated one. Why do we have a duplicated one? Well, I'll show you why. I'm just going to bring in this other guide here. I'm going to line it up on the front left corner of that pillar base. Because what we can do now is we can basically project or pull the verticals of these corners up into the ceiling, and then we'll have a room full of pillars. But what we don't know is we don't know where the pillars end. You know, where does it die into the ceiling? You can plot that backwards and up, and then forward, the front and rear lines, which I show on a different tutorial on projection. But let's do it here a different way. So we have our duplicated floor layer, and I know that if I lift this bottom part up, it's going to be reversed. I don't want the door at the far end. I want the door at this end, the top of the door, and I want this to be at the far end. So what we need to do is go back to transform, pull it down, across, and all the way down to the bottom, flip vertical. So it's flip vertical. Now we go back to transform, down to distort, okay, and we're going to distort it into the ceiling. Same thing we did on the floor. Now, notice, we're going to notice this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fifth front left corner of the pillar. So when we come over here, I'm just going to bring this across here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got a bit of a ways. Let's pull that a little further. Getting there. So pretty close. You get the idea. So now you can. Now these will line up pretty close. They're not going to be absolutely accurate, because when to be absolutely accurate, you have to zoom in here and place all this, which you can't unfortunately do. Like I can't zoom in right now. It's a problem with I'm on CS6, Photoshop CS6, but I don't think I can. Yeah, see. In order for me to zoom in, I have to apply this transformation. So I can't zoom in right now into this corner and just get it absolutely accurate. It's really painful. I hope that they sort that out. Anyway, but I like what I've got here, and I'll just hit the tick or check, and there we have the placement of things, and you can project these pillars right up into the ceiling. Boom, there you are, done. And then you can, if you have like a scene from you're setting a scene from a film, you just get your 185 or 235, whatever aspect ratio you want to deal with. Get right in there, get your framing, come to edit, stroke, and then let's do 6 pixels, and there's your framing. You can have whatever's going on here, or elsewhere, wherever. I don't know where you would want to be, but you've got a lot of choices. So that's one way of using transform. It's a great way of using it for architecture, and like I said, we use it a heck of a lot. So what we'll do now is we're going to do a face. This is Linda Evangelista, and she was a very popular model in the 80s and 90s. I chose her because she's beautiful, and I wanted to show you what we could do with her face with various transformations. I didn't want to use someone like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings because he's already aged, and I wanted to take someone beautiful and see what we could do with the face. So what we'll do, if you want to transform a face, you have to isolate the face. So we'll go here to this magic wand right here, second down, top right, second down on the tools. I'll just click this background here. That actually selected pretty nicely. So I will, now this is selected, I'll hit my delete key. and deselect. Then I'll bring the one down here to here, deselect, and then there. Deselect, and I'll just go to my regular eraser and just get rid of the scrap. And just to be sure, I'll just go around her head somewhat tightly to make sure that there's no other scrap around. So I've chosen her head, and I'll go to select and inverse. It'll select the opposite, and I'll hit the delete key again, deselect it. Now I don't want to be looking at this background, so I'll just go here to the layer tab here, and just tap that and get another layer, put that in the back. Go to edit, fill, we'll just do white. Okay, so now I've isolated her head. Let's go back to her head layer, and then we'll go through some transform tools here. Let's enlarge this. So we go back to edit, transform. Let's start with scale. So let's brought our handles. Now if I hold the shift key down, it'll scale accurately. Aspect ratio, vertical and horizontal. Right. If I don't hold the shift key down, you can get more manual with it, and compress, stretch. Okay. So that's scale manually. The other way of doing it is coming up here. This is width, the W is width, H is height. So you can just manually dial it in. 50% for example on the width, 50% on the height. So there you go. Okay. So that's scale. Next thing is rotate. Pretty self-explanatory. I always, you can grab the middle, but I always just like to grab the corners here. Rotate. Rotate. Now, when you go to rotate, look here, I think it's here. Let's see. Yeah, that's the degrees right here, 14 degrees all the way around. So now we're at 90. So if you want to manually just set that back to 0, you want 90 degrees, you just go 90. So like I said before, distort is great, but and can be used to do all of these things, but this kind of stuff, scale this and rotate, you can dial this stuff in manually. So that was rotate. Skew. Just grab this top toggle here and it skews. Looks like she's dancing there. Grab the side toggle. So that skew, I don't really use that much. I mean, I just use distort for the skew, but anyway, that's what skew does. Distort, we went over it. Let's do it separately. So you can do some pretty. It stays planar. You know what I mean? It's still a plane, but you can mess around with it quite a bit. I mean, you can distort it pretty good. So let's distort. Perspective is it's good for a few things. You have to set your thing up, you have to set everything up very good. See, if you pull, for example, if you're doing a road, you pull the bottom out here. Or this is, for example, if she is on a billboard, you're looking up. It's great. But the problem is, you see, it stretches it vertically when you do that. So what you have to do is I go into distort and just pull it down, and you have to just fiddle with it, you know, so you don't get this gigantic long neck and then this little top up here. It's a combination of distort and transform. Because if it was a road, what would happen is you had a nice texture here. It's going to really pull the texture, so you're always going to be fighting with that, with distort. So what I do is I have a decent line drawing, an accurate line drawing, and I use that as my guide instead of just winging it with distort, with perspective. Last thing is warp here on this list. Now, here you have all of these dots here. These are all handles. Yeah. You can see when you go in one of these sectors in the middle, you can warp. That's exactly what it does. Grab one of these handles here, you can warp. So what this is good for is if you have something like, for example, you're wrapping something around the cylinder, you can just you have your cylinder drawn out, and you're looking kind of down on it. You can wrap something around it. Maybe this is a poster or something like that. So it lets you do quite a few things. Yeah. Poor Linda's getting really distorted here. And obviously what you can do is you can go into here to the lasso tool here on the left. Say I want her eyebrow to be higher up. You can just go in here and just select this area right here. See what this does. You want to transform, warp. You just grab this little bit right here. It's actually really like, I'm very surprised at you. So you can, a little odd, but you know what I mean. You can mess around with certain facial features, like that ear begs to be bigger, and will be in 2 seconds. It's going to stick out, and then this ear here. Just not symmetrical ears. It looks like her eyebrows up, and it looks like she's listening. Did I hear something? So then, of course, then you can go in here and start fixing things, erasing, truing things up. I mean, they do this in all the fashion magazines, albeit a nicer way, a more flattering way. But what have I done with her? Anyway, so you get the idea with that. See this line right here? That's from, it's a slight movement. So you again have to go into in here. And here's our clone tool. I'll do a tutorial on all of these tools. I mean, this is, I'm going to start messing around with the face. I mean, clone wise. So these are the choices that you have with transform in terms of the regular set. All right. Now you can, if you like, I don't have time to mess around with degrees. I just want to rotate it 180. So there you go, 180, done. Or 90 degrees clockwise, CW is clockwise, or 90 degrees counterclockwise, CCW. It's pretty straightforward. And the last two are flip horizontal, which is left to right. Oh, she's heard something from the other side. And then the other one is flip vertical. So it's upside down. So these are your choices for the transform tool. And sorry I distorted your face, Linda, but it had to be done for this example. And I hope you all got something from that little tutorial. It's a very powerful tool. It'll bail you out in a cinch and quite a few things once you start doing your illustrations. It's great for collaging, for those of you who are into photo collaging. Matte painters use it a lot, and it's a really powerful tool. So I would definitely have a go at it, get practicing with it, and use it to your advantage. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.